Welcome everyone to the first round of Season 2 of Formula FG. It's the Australian Grand Prix here from Albert Park in Melbourne, my hometown. I'm Aidan Kerrin and I'm your host tonight again. A big honour to bring back Formula FG for a second season. It's going to be great. If the first one was anything to go by, it'll be great. Really looking forward to it. First round, pretty interesting. Of course, all the teams are a bit jumbled. You don't know who exactly is in order and who isn't. But all we do know is that Daniel Harvey, by 0.008 of a second, was able to take the pole from Tim Engbrink. Was it a surprise? Well, Harvey, probably not. Engbrink, probably yes. Behind him, Chaco, though, for Falcon. Now, keep an eye on him. I reckon he's on for a good one. Andy Graham as well. Not too bad. First race he's done and he's in fourth. A fantastic effort there. And then we got Utso, we got Sharp in the second Falcon. Matt Bailey in his first Australian Grand Prix, his first home race. Omar Saeed, Stefan Berner, Andrea Dovizioso. Now, Saeed and Berner both got Honda engines, and it'll be interesting to see how those two will end up going. And of course, yes, Dovizioso, as I said, in 10th place for Viper. After that, you look back, you got Rautavar in 11th. You'd be annoyed if you were him, I would think. You know, 11th isn't where you would have wanted to be. You would have wanted to be first or second at worst. Dan in 11th. He's ahead of Martins, Rui Martins. His debut race here for Cedars. Other debutants today, we got Ben Herbert and Jamie Cox. They're going to be sharing a row, 19th and 20th. Herbert for RD Racing, Jamie Cox for NTech Motorsports. Jamie, that is his home race as well. Elsewhere, well, Jack Hunsley, Tapio Rinjaho, DTK, 13th and 17th. I don't think they've ever started that far back. I'm not sure if they'll be able to move forwards at all. Andy Black in the second Speedy, 18th. And then, of course, last year, first race was won by 2KF1. Their lead driver is Sigalakis in 15th, while McNamara gets to start his home Grand Prix from 22nd place. So at least you can see everyone ahead, you'd think. Well, I say that, as you can see from the forecast, it's going to be a little bit rainy, so will you be able to see through the spray at all? You don't really know. Nonetheless, guys, with rain, it's always a little bit interesting, especially if you're Dutch, and I think it'll be a very interesting race. As for who will win, I don't know, but just looking at that grid, and I think there's a very good chance we're going to see somebody that hasn't won before. Whether it's a team or a driver, I think that's the case. Nonetheless, guys, let's get into it. Season 2 of Formula FG. Here we go. And so, here we are on the grid. It's looking pretty dry at the moment, but who knows how long that's going to stay. Nonetheless, we're up to 4 lights. We're up to 5 lights then. Season 2 is go! Here we are, Formula FG. To the first corner they will fly. And it seems like Harvey's going to keep his position, but will Engbrink on the outside there to Chaco? He will. So Harvey leads through the first corner. Engbrink, though, he's come through there pretty quickly. He's got a bit of a run, it seems, to the third corner. And they've hit. Harvey's gone off. He's into the gravel trap completely. Engbrink spun around. That leaves Chaco in the lead then for Falcon with Graham. Harvey and Engbrink, oh no, look at that, here we go. Leading through the first and second corner, and they're down to 21st and 22nd. We'll have a closer look at that, shall we? You go on board with Engbrink. Definitely got a run. Just a little bit of a nudge, and there we go. Round he goes. He's caused a bit of a hassle for the guys behind. One of the DTKs has made up a lot of places, it seems. And bad luck there. So we'll go back to the front of the field then. Find Lachlo Chaco for Falcon, the Hungarian. Pretty sure I tipped a good result for him, and I won't lie, I'm a bit surprised that he's already leading. Nonetheless, he's got Andy Graham right, well, close behind, as we've got another yellow flag to find the debutant Martins in the gravel, seemingly of his own accord. Oh, nope, that's nope, I'm wrong about that, quite clearly. Here we go, we got Rinyaho behind him. Lintner even further behind. Maybe not. Lintner came through with a lot of speed there. Is it Herbert? Yep, and there's Herbert. That's a very interesting move there that he's made. Having a look on board. Not exactly sure, but it's definitely caused some damage. 1991 champion, and he's able to move up a couple of places, so guess that's just how it is for him. Massive shame then for Martins, definitely in a good car this season. That's not the way they would have wanted to start it. 3 wheels in the gravel trap, first lap in Australia. Lintner as well. First race for his new team. He's got no front wing. Newcomer Jamie Cox here. McNamara a long way down. So that's all very interesting. And we still have Chaco out in the lead. 1.1 seconds back to Andy Graham. And there we have confirmation Martins is out of the race. So that's already pretty big start to the race. We don't need a wet race to have an interesting race, do we? As Martins is still getting pushed off the course. Chaco though, was half a second out of Graham through that section. As Rob Sharp, he's going to have a look at the at his countrymen. 2 Brits here. Very, very close, but unable to see any way to get by. Chaco though, another 0.2 of a second out of Graham. Now that is Hunsley, I do believe. He's started 13th this race. He's found himself into 5th. As... oh, hello. Rob Sharp, he's got himself a puncture. He's missed the pit lane. It's clearly caused some damage to that Falcon. And that's the end of his race, it seems. 3rd, he was. 3rd, he won't be at the end of this race. Massive shame there for the British racer. That leaves Utsa in 3rd, and it's Jack Hunsley who will try to reignite a battle here between DTK and BRT, but he's up 9 spots by the 3rd lap, and I'm not going to lie, but that DTK is not a very good car at the moment. It's down on power. It shouldn't be doing this well, but here you go. Hunsley putting in a fantastic drive so far. Other winners seem to be Sigalakis has gone up 6 spots. Not too bad for him. Rautavara's made up 3. Dovizioso's made up 4. Meanwhile, here's Herbert and Rinyaho. 3rd place last year for Rinyaho, but he's coming up against the former F1 champ in Herbert. He knows a few tricks. He'll do well this season, I tip. Now, while we're here, it's a good time to talk about new tyres this season. We've been able to secure, with thanks to the GPGSL, we've been able to secure sets of slicks for the competition, but not only that, we see new Bridgestones and we see new Michelins, but we've also been able to bring in Pirelli, Goodyear and Dunlop to the sport, which is fantastic news, as McNamara has done a sneaky move there and he's moved past Rinjaho, who's now under pressure from Jamie Cox and Andy Black, I think. But for anyone that's watching and not quite sure which tyre is which, it's really quite simple. If you can see the stripes on the sidewalls, you know that green is Bridgestone, yellow, as we can see here, is a Dunlop. There's a Bridgestone right there. If you see a white ring, that's a Goodyear. Blue are Michelin and red are Pirelli. As there goes Pablo Deal down the inside, not quite. Christian Lindner here, he's a long way behind. Going to be a very long race for the Hungarian. It's 30 seconds behind. He's catching Engbrink, but even if there are 54 laps, that's a long way to go to catch 19th place. Chaco though, he's the last Falcon on the field. No other Mercedes either. Here comes Berner. Gonna have a look at Sigalakis down the inside, and it's a good move there from the Dutchman. As Barrett fancies a look at Sigalakis himself, not able to do so. Barrett and Sigalakis, both of them driving for their new team's first race, first outing. Question you have to ask is, would Sigalakis have been happy seeing that speedy off the track on the first lap? You don't know. Nonetheless, Stefan Berner's just powered away there in the NTEC. As we go back to Chaco, only Mercedes powered car on the grid this year. Got himself a nice gap as Harvey going to have a look up the inside of Deal there. He's very lucky to keep his front wing as far as I'm concerned. The Brazilian was not having any of that. Lindner meanwhile, we'll see what he can do in the new Virgin Skoda. No, he's caught up a little bit. He's got down to 28 seconds now to Engbrink. Who knows? He might see someone this race. It's only lap 6. Got the chance. Chaco driving for the Alder Lindner, I believe. For Mark, not Christian. As Deal there gets shown the exit of the circuit. Some strong defending from the Brazilian, and it's finally caught up to him. And if we thought it was bad for DTK, well, you know, at least Hunsley has gotten back towards the front. As here comes the rain, but Deal, runner-up last season, is a long way behind. Now, as I said, there's some rain coming down, so will we see some people ducking into the pits? He's still pulling away, Chaco, from Graham. Speak of the devil, here he is. Very late signing for Viper. But he's repaying the faith put in him by Stephen Poirier with a pretty good drive so far. Meanwhile, behind, here's Ben Herbert. He's got McNamara up the inside, and Rinjaho's looking at it. He wouldn't mind buying into it, it seems. We're not seeing any sort of plume coming from the back of the cars yet. Here we go, we can see Cox here. And a little look at Rinyaho. We can't see any water plumes from the back of the car, so it's clearly not wet enough just yet. Which is good. But that does look a little bit heavier. And I'm pretty sure that was a lockup. But it must be getting close. Some people may want to think about some inters. Jacko there, actually losing a tiny little bit of time to Graham. Probably just from that lockup. Graham doesn't have to worry about Rob Sharp doing a double team on him. It's only Utsa behind and he's got 1.5 seconds on him. Seems to be stable. But there it's lost a little bit to Utsa and he's lost a little bit more than that to Chaco out the front. And the rain seems to have stopped a little bit. So that's why you shouldn't listen to me when it comes to weather. Otherwise you'd be a long way back and on the wrong tyre already. So here we go, he's in no man's land, he's about 1.5 seconds behind and ahead. Engbrink here. Started on the front row, it's not going too well for him. Steady stream of cars up ahead, but doesn't seem to be catching as he's lost time to Harvey and Deal's catching up a little bit as well. New Bugatti engine in the back of the Speedies doesn't seem to be doing quite enough for the team. And Chaco, here we go. That looks wet. Not sure how or why, but that section was quite wet. We'll go have a look ourselves. A couple of wet sections. Davizioso here, he's in 6th place so far. Viper having a pretty decent run, 2nd and 6th. Bailey doing nicely in his first home Grand Prix. We're out of iron. Here's Burner. We'll have a little look with Burner. We'll go for a lap around Albert Park. So there we have it. He's caught up a little bit of time there on Rautavaara. We'll see if he can do anything with that, as there's a lot of damn track now. Don't think he'll be close enough this time. Not a bad gain there for the Dutchman. If he wants to get past Rautavaara, he's got to stay close. If anything, he's really got to get a little bit closer. But there is time. Here's McNamara, he's got himself past Herbert. Andy Black here. First race for his new team. Starting to get quite wet. Very large plumes coming from behind the cars. You can see it. Chaco, 6 seconds. Slower than his fastest lap. Similar with Graham. They're all doing much slower laps. And we're not talking slower compared to dry practice or anything. We're talking slower than the start of the race. As we're starting to see some teams are going to take the risk at pitting, I think. Oh, there we go. They're already in the pits. And Rinyaho there has the jump on a few of them. Rinyaho, Engberink, Deal. Cox comes out there, it's Harvey. Herbert's lost a lot of positions. Yes, that's what happens when you're a new team and you get to start down the other end of the pit lane. So now Chaco into the lane. Out he comes again, and that's going to leave Viper holding a 1-2 currently. Barrett doesn't bother to pit. Chaco pops back out. Here's McNamara. He's not pitted yet. Hunsley pops out. He's ahead of Utsa. And Matt Bailey, another big loser, just like his teammate. Couldn't get it all done fast enough. And here we go, this will be interesting now. Rinyaho going to have a look at Andy Black. Down the inside. And he sneaks on through. Good move there from Rinyaho. And we'll go to find Rinyaho. Have a look at his second sector split. Well, that's interesting. Doesn't seem to be a big difference. McNamara's in the lane though. Huntsley there, across the line he goes. Utsa, Saeed. Burner. McNamara's popping out now, there goes Sigalakis. Bailey will get past. I don't think Rinyaho will be quite close enough to McNamara to make any moves up the inside this lap. There's Harvey, Herbert. Lintner seems to have caught up a little bit. He's now a mere 12 seconds behind. Now this will be interesting to see. Andy Graham. He's going to come across the lap. What sort of lap time is he doing? It's nothing too crash hot. Over the line for a 140.1. Dovizioso in the second Viper is doing about the same. Here comes Chaco. Is he on a better tyre? He's going to have a look up the inside there. 137, he's taken seconds out of them. Chaco though, past Barrett, former teammates. Too simple for the Hungarian. Barrett of course hasn't pitted yet. Must be starting to struggle a little bit on those Pirellis. And for sure, those that have come in are definitely reaping the rewards. Rinyaho seems to have gotten his tyres working nicely. He's catching up to McNamara a little bit. Has to find the sweet spot again. Back to the front though, Dovizioso here. As we can see, 6.2 behind Chaco. Oh, sorry, ahead behind Graham. It's 9.5, I think, ahead of Chaco. We'll have a look. It's now 8.6, so it's about a second per sector. Chaco's catching the two Vipers. Well, that's all well and fine. That'll be about 5 laps for Graham's court. And while that's all well and good, Graham, will he have made up any time in all this? Because he's probably still going to be pitting not too long after that. Might be a really good move here from the Viper team. Of course, it might be a horrible move as well, and I'm sort of feeling that's possibly what it's going to be. There goes Bailey, 139. Dovizioso, he's not got much time up his sleeve. Graham seems to be struggling a little bit as well. Into the final 2 corners here. It's a very risky strategy that Viper have played, but it could just get them the result that they're looking for. They won, of course, last year in Sepang. That track isn't on the calendar this year, so they got to find some sort of replacement. They had a very good first round here in Melbourne. Just look at Chaco, 4.4 seconds to Dovizioso. He's a beast, he's coming for them. Pablo Deal here seems to be defending again. I think it's from Harvey as well. We'll see if this ends up the same way as it did before. Graham here, he's just keeping a little bit of space between him and Dovizioso. It's hard to see where all this dampness is coming from. Might just be really fine at the moment, in which case the track's definitely going to get wetter. Chaco, meanwhile, is down to 2.7 already. Probably won't get it this lap, but it may well be the lap after. Meanwhile, here comes Harvey again on Deal. Both of them tripping over themselves. It's going to allow Herbert to catch up a little bit. Chaco down to 1.3 on Dovizioso. It won't be... I don't think Dovizioso will make the end of the lap. If he does, it'll be a very good effort. Here's Graham, 4.9 to Dovizioso. That'll only be 6.2 to Chaco. That's about 2 laps worth, maybe 3. Oh, and Chaco, lovely move down the inside there. Dovizioso had nothing for that. We'll have a look at a replay. Just pulls out. Simple as that. He's got the grip. Just have a look here from Dovizioso going to the corner. And it's job done. Chaco gets back to hunting down Andy Graham. Now here's Barrett. 10.8 to Dovizioso and Hunsley, just behind by 1.4. That does make it quite interesting. Still quite a lot of time between Hunsley and the two Vipers, so while it may not look good in terms of the lead of the race, as Chaco's just slicing through. Some technical difficulties there. Nonetheless, here comes Chaco. As Hunsley's moved past Barrett. Oh, here we go, side by side. Hunsley's got the inside, and no matter what, you'd expect him to finish this move up. But he doesn't. Barrett holds around the outside, a fantastic effort there. The two Brits, defending champ, can't get past Barrett. We know which one's on the better tyre. Doesn't seem to make a single bit of difference. This is just going to hurt Hunsley. If you wanted to catch the Vipers, it's going to be a real struggle now. before the end of the pit window as he's looking to the inside. A little touch there on Barrett, and they really struggle to get around the corner, as if he's not careful, Lutz is going to sneak on through. Lutz is now closer to Hunsley than Barrett is. They will come down this longish straight though, and Hunsley might have an opportunity. I don't think he will. He looks to the inside, but I think that was more defending from Utsa more than anything. Saeed and Burner, they're going to want to have a go at this as well. Sigalakis isn't too far behind. Rautavara, on the other hand, is a little bit further behind than you would like. Meanwhile, here's Andy Graham, and he's got 0.6 of a second on Chaco. I think it'll be the same spot as last time. It's been a fantastic effort from the debutants so far, but I fear that it's not going to be much longer. Although Chaco makes a little bit of a mistake there. Graham gets some breathing room. And he'll continue on. Extraordinary. But here we go. I think this time it'll be a wishful thinking to think he's going to hold it. Chaco, though, doesn't go for the move up the inside. He'll have a look here. Not a great idea. Two into one. Two into that corner definitely don't go. Second to last corner. Still Chaco's doing nothing, as Engbrink and Cox have both moved up down there. I'm not sure why. Here comes Chaco now. There's 0.036 of a second between them. Chaco will take the inside line. Graham has no way to stop him. Hunsley. That's interesting. What's happened to our defending champion here? Here he is in P5. He's still behind Barrett. That's showing how good the car is. Oh, and this time he has hit Barrett. Round he goes. Barrett's going to take a tour of the gravel trap. Straight back onto the circuit though, ahead of Matt Bailey. And so yeah, here's Hunsley, round he goes. Utsa lucky not to lose any part of his front wing doing that. Hunsley just doesn't see any space of getting out of there. And when he does, off he goes. Too late though, damage is done. P16. Though some would argue that he's fighting with Pablo Deal again, so it's not a complete loss. Two championship heavyweights from last season. Meanwhile, here's Engbrink and Cox, as there's a massive scuffle going on at the top of the straight. Barrett's still on the wrong tyre, still defending with his life. Bailey there, they're going three wide into the corner. McNamara's the big loser there. Black ends up taking two positions. A fantastic move there from the Danish ace. Bailey there, he may have just given Barrett a little bit of a touch. His exit speed was poor as a result, and Black's going to take another position. Yes, he is. So is Rinyaho. So in the end, Black's laughing because he's back. He's into the points. I think that may be for the first time today. Bailey's now going to have a look at Rinyaho. McNamara's having to defend from Jamie Cox, who's gone past Engbrink and all of that. Fantastic fighting down here for what can only be described as the final point, or 2 points paying positions. Hunsley's not all that far away from it either. Harvey's gone past a deal at some stage. Now here's Barrett this time, and he's going to have Black, who's going to have a look down the inside. There we go, and Barrett's still holding, and we know he can hold it around the outside. I don't think he's going to get the chance. He'll duck to the inside instead. He thinks better of it. As Bailey there, under attack from McNamara, the 2 Australians. Well, there are 3 Australians there. We can't forget Cox as well. If I'm not otherwise mistaken, I believe that's all 3 Australians, and they're all there fighting for 12th. As Black making a bolt now. We look up ahead. Here's Burner. He's got Sigilakis directly ahead of him. Honda versus Cosworth. And some good defending there from Sigilakis, and some good braking there from Burner. Sees no massive problem. As Chaco, he's pulled out 6.4 seconds. Simple as that. But the 2 Vipers still running quite well. Utsa doesn't seem to be making much headway into it. He's leaving Saeed behind though, it seems. Saeed's leaving Sigilakis, but I'm not surprised when Sigilakis and Burner seem to be having a fantastic fight. Burner will have a look down to the inside at turn 3. Sigilakis very, very strong in closing the door on him there. But gave him enough room to make the corner at the same time. Meanwhile, Rinyaho's gone past Barrett. And then come the 3 Australians, who are all still fighting over who'll be the next one to try to go past. While Bailey may be the next one, you would have expected either the 2K1 or the NTEC car to have made a move by now. So here's Engbrink fighting with Hunsley. Little dry patches starting to form. On board here with Harvey. Nothing really doing. Might be down the next straight that we'll see something. Hunsley just does not seem to have any sort of response from the car in wanting to push past someone. As we look up ahead, Barrett and Bailey still unable to get past. Chaco, meanwhile, has opened out massive lead over Graham. It's 10 seconds at the moment. It does seem both drivers still have to pit. Graham a little bit sooner, it seems. Will the track be to his liking? It might be a little bit drier. He might try for the dry tyres again. Of course, while I say that, it's still quite wet out there, and I believe that there was more rain possibly forecast. Yeah, looking back from Chaco, not much to see because there's not much behind him. Well, the entire field is behind him, but nothing within seeing distance. Graham, 10.1 seconds behind now. Both the Vipers yet to stop. Starting to get close to half distance through the race. We look back and we see Lintner's actually passed Herbert. That is quite an interesting... Oh, hello! At Falcon they seem to have decided that it's time to pit. He had enough fuel to keep going, so that's going to allow Graham into the lead again. Dovizioso's closed up on his teammate. Who hasn't closed up is Utsa. He's gone nowhere. Really. Don't think there was a problem for Chaco. Might just be another new set of tyres. I don't think he's got enough fuel to make the end. They're all starting to come in again. It's not wet enough for the tyres. And so the only two cars that stayed out through all of this are going to be leading the race. So we have a look who's popping out of the pit lane first. It's Saeed. Who nearly has a collision. Oh, and there's a lot of really close calls. Barrett's made up he's been able to pit just then, and he's looking good now. He's in P7. He's going to have a look down the inside of Utsa, and that's a fantastic move. He's obviously feeling really good in that car today. And so if anyone's making any sense of what's happening in this race, that's a really interesting sight. Pablo Deal, he seems to be doing just fine on one wheel, so clearly the BRT is doing... Well, they've worked wonders in their engineering department. One wheel drive and one wheel steering still seems to be doing better than somebody else, as we see a yellow flag. And it's Jamie Cox, the debutant. He's keeping the car going. I think that's a turn 3. Oopsie daisies. It's clearly still wet enough in certain parts of the track. It doesn't look like he's got wet tyres on, so yeah, he's got dries and he's just found himself a little bit of a puddle. Round he goes, and that's bad luck. He's been lapped now. Graham just seems to be lapping nicely, doing what he needs to do. Yellow flag has gone. Ratabara moves past Sigalakis. Hunsley now, he has to pit. That's going to be excruciating for him. Herbert's in as well. Rinyaho has found himself in the point, so it's all very confusing. I would start to try to give an indication of what's going to end up happening, you know, where we might see people leading into final stints, but I just don't know where the final stint is. Honestly, now he's popped out. He's got Deal right there. Deal's down the inside in the new BRT. It's quite a wide car. Seems to have found 3 wheels. So again, fantastic work by the BRT engineering department, because I don't know how they've done that. I think I saw someone go off in the background, and it is Herbert. I think Lintner there just gave him a little bit of a nudge. We'll have a look here. We'll be able to see it. Yep. So Ben Herbert goes off. Pretty sure the last time that we saw Christian Lindner in the F1 series was when Ben Herbert won. So clearly Christian thinks that Ben's driving fantastically well, even though the RD racing car is not fantastic. Talking of a car that's not necessarily fantastic, it's got the same engine in the back, the Porsche engine. The Viper is doing fantastically well, and currently in a 1-2 position. Now, if you thought I was surprised when Karanen won last season in the first race, I'm not sure. I think I'm more surprised now. This is a fantastic effort from this team. Don't know, you know, do you congratulate them on the 1-2, or do you congratulate them on somehow being able to get Pepsi and Coca-Cola on the same car at the same time? Super effort. Cox there, 1 lap down. P19, Herbert 1 lap down. Chaco, not 1 lap down, he's in 3rd place. It's a long way behind, he's 12.1 seconds behind Dovizioso. We'll have a look. Should be on fresher tyres. And his car should be faster as well. He's twice he's pitted. Whereas the 2 Vipers are yet to pit once so far. It's a fantastic effort from them. I say that as Andy Graham is now in the pit lane. That allows Dovizioso into the lead. Chaco is making up time as well. Andy Graham's going to pop out. He's got he's got so much time up his sleeve on Saeed. Saeed's not anywhere near the main straight. He's just going to start to pop up now. You know, Graham's gone through turn 2 as Saeed's come onto the pit straight. Meanwhile, Tom Barrett's found himself into 5th place for Virgin, so it's a fantastic start to the season for him and his team now. He had a very strong race for Monster in Japan at the end of last season. Wasn't enough for him to keep his seat. Now he's here with Virgin, leading Utsa and Rautavaara. Sigalakis as well. Deal's got himself ahead of Hunsley. I believe we saw that earlier. All 3 races here. They all won a race last season. I'm pretty sure. Well, Black's 2 places ahead, but the point stands. There's a lot of very good races, and they're fighting for P13 onwards. Dovizioso though. He's losing time to Chaco. He's going to have to think of pitting soon. Chaco though, he's got 16.9 seconds to Graham behind. Chaco, I think, will still have to pit again. Graham, on the other hand, I think is fuel to the finish. So this is starting to get interesting. He's got full fuel, and he's losing time to Chaco as it is right now. If there's another shower, I don't think he'll be able to do anything. If this track becomes wet a second time, won't be able to do a thing. As Barrett, apparently Tom Barrett still hasn't made a stop yet. So I take that back. He is doing extremely well. Let's not take that away from him. It's just it doesn't seem quite as good now that he still hasn't stopped. Whereas most people around him have done 2. And I don't see much hope of him holding points. Of course, if they all have to pit again, he's in with a chance, but I don't think a lot of them seem to be going to the finish. On board here with Andy Graham. Chaco, another few tenths out of Dovizioso there. So far, so good for the Viper boys. Seems Dovizioso will be coming in at the end of this lap. I think that that proves a good time right now. Just started lap 32 of the race. We'll take our first and only break of the Grand Prix. We'll be back right after this for part 2 of the Australian Formula FG Grand Prix.
Pit at the end of this lap.